Rashidi Ellis is eyeing an opportunity at a world title shot, and he has Brian Norman Jr. in his sights in particular. He feels that if he gets the opportunity, he sees himself stopping Brian Norman Jr. Let's talk about Rashidi Ellis and his opportunities that lie ahead. Former heavyweight champion Riddick Big Daddy Bowe used to have a saying, "You're never too old for your wants to hurt you." And that may apply to one Rashidi Ellis, Speedy Rashidi Ellis. And according to an article that was released in Ring magazine, Rashidi spoke about his opportunities that lie ahead and how he sees himself becoming world champion by defeating any one of the current title holders. And that's interesting because when he was in a position to fight for a world title, he lost the opportunity by dropping a decision to Romain Villa in January of 2023. This is something that led to Romain challenging Jerome Boots Ennis, in which he was stopped by Boots Ennis. But Rashidi has switched his sights now to Brian Norman Jr., and he feels that Brian is vulnerable to a fighter such as himself. Many people may not necessarily see that, but for some strange reason, Rashidi feels that not only can he take on any of the top fighters, that he sees himself defeating any of them given the opportunity. His record presently is 26-1 with 17 KOs. That one loss coming to Villa, which was a majority decision loss. A fight there where he was outboxing Villa early, but later as the fight went on, he began to fade and Villa came on strong, taking the championship rounds and defeating Ellis. Now Ellis, who has very fast hands, decent footwork and mobility, but he doesn't seem to have the type of focus that can carry from 1st through 12. And that's where he ran into his problems when it came down to his fight with Villa. Since facing Villa, he has been on the smaller circuit as far as facing fighters, no one of note, and he's had 2 victories inside the distance with those 2 victories. And going back in his career, after defeating Alexis Rocha in October of 2020, he took the entire 2021 off and returned against Jose Marofo in July of 2022, where he had a first-round stoppage. But again, the inactivity, how he sat on the shelf, led to situations that saw him lose to the likes of a fighter like Romain Villa. Now, Villa was not the most talented fighter, but he was an aggressive fighter with a will. And as he faced Ellis, he was able to break Ellis down. According to his article that he spoke to Ring magazine, he says Boots, Barrios, and Brian Norman Jr., when asked who he would like to fight next, he definitely wants to fight Norman. He says he's been wanting to fight Norman. That's a very exciting fight. Brian Norman Jr. is going to be facing a fighter in Japan in his next outcome, where the likes of Susaki from Japan. That fight is a fight that Brian was asked after his most recent victory over Derek Cuevas at the post-fight press conference. Jin Susaki approached him and asked him with a challenge letter if he'd like to come to Japan for a fight. And so the fight will be on ESPN, scheduled for June 19th, 2025. As Brian Norman is out here defending titles, taking guys out, Rashidi hasn't been fighting anyone on the level of the fighters that even Norman Jr. has been facing. And he is noted for his rugged fight against Giovanni Santillan, where he stopped Santillan in a brutal, bloody affair. Rashidi hasn't faced anyone like that. And then, as far as the fight where he had against Derek Cuevas, and he stopped Cuevas in 3 rounds, making Cuevas quit. Brian Norman Jr. is the type of fighter that is really going after it. He was ready to take on Jaron Boots Ennis until they had issues over their contractual agreement. Now, as far as Norman, I see him as a take on all comers type fighter, something that's a little rare in today's sport, but he's still willing. Rashidi, if he gets out of fighting these lower opposition fights that are scheduled for less than 10 to 12 rounds, 8 rounders is what he's been fighting, he's gonna have to step up and face someone of quality. Brian Norman Jr. is presently 27-0 with 21 KOs, and he's moving like a breeze through the welterweights. He is a proven fighter. He is a fighter that's been getting after it, and with he and his dad, they are making their name and fame in the sport. I believe that Rashidi Ellis needs to step up and face someone to prove that he's worthy of challenging a fighter like Ellis or Mario Barrios or even Jaron Boots Ennis. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts about Rashidi wanting to take on Brian Norman Jr.